Yo, 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 what up? What up? What up, friends? You know who it is. Omar, the Professor Fonseca, back for another installment of the Professor's Semanalmente. Now, we are trying out a new system today, working out some kinks, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Last week, we had some issues with the broadcast, and also the next day, if you did not or do not watch the Bottom Line Sports, you will know I retired from the Bottom Line Sports. Yes, after 2 years, good run it was, but we had to retire and keep it moving, and that's what we are doing. That being said, I appreciate everybody who's joining in with us. I am trying out a new system today. That's why you didn't have the intro video per the use, is because I am on a new system and I'm just wanting to try it out. So I'm on the free trial. So instead of actually being able to do the upgrade where you add your own video and add your own this and that, since I'm just on the free weekly trial, I have to use what they've given me. So hence the hence the video being kind of. I liked it though. It was a little Galaxy, had a little bit of little jam to it. You know what I mean? It started a little slow, got a little pace to it there at the end. But happy you're joining us here. Anyways, as I said, just trying to work a couple kinks out. See what system do I want to go with? Do I want to stick with StreamYard that I was using before? Do I want to go to Restream, which I'm actually testing out today? So we'll see how that goes. Please let me know in the comments how we sound. Or there's also Riverside, with which Clubber D, the Combat G, is actually testing out himself and has been using for a couple of shows. So interested to bounce that off each other and see kind of where we both think those programs stand and if StreamYard is still the best option. The problem is StreamYard has raised their prices over the past few years and gotten a little crazy. Anyway, speaking of Clubber D, the Combat G, and yours truly, this Saturday, you see it, UFC. I had to leave the Memorial Day up there. You know we always got to honor our veterans, not just on Memorial Day, but every week. So just for this week, one more week, I wanted to leave that up there just to honor our veterans. But yeah, this Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time, we will have Clubber D, the Combat G's Combat Sports Special for UFC 316 to huge, as Donald Trump on the White would say, our president, huge title fights. He's a big UFC fan, as we know. The champion, Merab Dvalishvili, will take on challenger Sean O'Malley. And then in the co-main event, this is the one I'm excited. I'm excited about both of them, but really excited about this one. Julieta, wow, I need some water. Champion Julieta Pena versus Kayla Harrison. You know her. She's the Olympic judo champion, been around forever. And now she's worked her ranks up in the UFC to be able to now fight for a championship. So solid up to her. And yes, again, make sure you tune in, subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLAND BUDS, to tune in to that 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, which reminds me, probably going live to Clubber D's channel as well. So check out Clubber D's new YouTube. Very easy, Clubber D, just like Ball and Buds. Ball and Buds is BALLAND BUDS. Clubber D is Clubber D. He's also on TikTok at Clubber.D, but he's trying to get his YouTube going. So go subscribe. Also, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buzz and hit that like button if you're watching right now or on the replay. It is free to you, but we really appreciate it when you give us that support, because it really boosts us up in the algorithm and gets us out to other people on YouTube. So hit that like button, hit that heart, hit that laugh, whatever you can do for us. We really appreciate it. Cool? All right, hold on one second, because we are live on YouTube, live on Facebook. The one thing, though, and again, it's just a free trial, so it's not anything with Restream. But on this free trial, you only get a limited amount, so we get the two channels. So I'm going live to YouTube and Facebook instead of Instagram like we might normally do, because of the fact that Instagram, not a lot of people watch videos on Instagram. It's kind of like Twitter, right? It's not necessarily somewhere where you're going to watch long form videos like this new news broadcast, which is going to be at least an hour long. By the way, my producer got upset at me because I kept going for 3 hours every week, and she says she don't get paid overtime for the job, which she doesn't. So she said I need to start keeping my stuff to a minimum of an hour, which is going to be a lot easier now because there is no more Bottom Line Sports for me. There is still the Bottom Line Sports. Please go check them out. I'm not going to tell you not to go check them out. Check the boys, Canteen, Flow, still doing their thing over there at the Bottom Line Sports on Facebook. But I'm not there anymore. Hot Take Jake ain't there anymore. So I will not be on that show. So I am now bringing the professor's Semanalmente 2 parts. So that way I can make sure I keep an hour each. We're going to do 1 time a week of news and 1 time a week sports. So today we're going to do news. We're going to talk our United States news, Donald Trump, President Weekly Update, everything going on in the world in the realm of the world of Donald Trump and the realm of the United States, as well as world news. We will update you on all the foreign wars. We got news on Ukraine, Russia. We got news on Israel, Hamas, and the Gaza Strip. And we have Iran nuclear news, y'all. You are not going to want to miss what I have to tell you about the news that I know you haven't heard, because I know you don't run in the same circles that I run in, so you would not know this. But you need to know there are some things happening in the world with this Iran nuclear situation. So we're going to talk all about that today and give you some news there. And then on Wednesday, we'll actually be back with the professor's Semanalmente Sports version. So today is just news. If you tuned in for sports, I appreciate you, and I hope you stay for the news because I think it's very interesting and very informative, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. But if not, sports is on Wednesday. We'll talk NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL, all that good stuff. But for now, today is news. So thank y'all for tuning in as always. Let's kick this bad boy off. Let me see. We got a couple chats here. Yes, my producer laughing at me because she does not get paid overtime. I'm assuming that means we sound good. So thank you very much for that. All right, cool. As I mentioned, a lot of news going on around the United States. And actually, it worked out because last week I went so long, but the broadcast was messed up. And I take full ownership on that. I had a little bit of an older computer that I wanted to use as my stationary one, which I just used only for streaming instead of using my new computer and having to bring it back and forth, all that. Well, the older one just wasn't new enough to handle that stream. So that's why it was kind of cutting out there for a little bit last week. So I do apologize about that. But the good part is it actually didn't turn out too bad on YouTube or Facebook. And the better part is I'm backing up all those stories this week. So you're going to get all the news that you missed if you did last week. You're going to get this week anyways. So let's kick this bad boy off. All right. So first of all, today is Lou Gehrig Day. Yes, Lou Gehrig Day in Major League Baseball is where they celebrate the achievements of Lou Gehrig, but also the life of Lou Gehrig and the disease that he ended up suffering after a certain amount of time while playing baseball and being really good at baseball, mind you. So anyways, he actually came down with what is known as ALS. If you do not know, ALS is a disease, as you can see on the right-hand side, a horrible, horrible disease in this world that we must get rid of. As of now, there are no cures and only few treatments. We really need to press on this to get diseases like this, cancer, and other things gone. So again, Lou Gehrig brought it really to the forefront in terms of mainstream people understanding the disease and starting to know things better, since that was back in the 50s. But I got to turn my hat around and give a shout out to my brother. I don't know if he's watching, but you can see him there under. Yeah, I cut the hair today. We do a little thing. I didn't cut all of it. Don't worry. It's still there. I just shaved it because CMA Fest this week. We trying to look good for the ladies. Anyways, so shout out my brother, David. He is dealing with ALS himself, but man, if I couldn't have found, a person who was more inspiring. There are so many people that inspire others in this world, and David is one of them. He is truly an inspiration to now have ALS for, a few years now, and still just pressing on and trying to not only be the best person he can be and get better every day, even though he's pretty much confined to his house every day, all day, he still keeps a smile on his face, still tells people to be better, still tells people to not think about the things that bring them down. I know he's been a huge inspiration to me. So please support his blog. It is a ALS advocacy and awareness blog. It's called, if you search on Google, David's ALS Journey, you'll find it. But you can also see the website there if you want to type it in. There's a bunch of numbers and Wix site and stuff, so I'd rather you just search David's ALS Journey. But please subscribe to his blog. As you can see, he is a brand new author. That's how inspiring he is. Writing a book in the state that he's in, and becoming an author, something that he had been inspired to do, is just, it's amazing the things that people can do that when they put their minds to it. It makes you think about yourself and how are you living your life, and how are you trying to get better when you have uh, people in situations worse than yourself that are doing more and trying to do more for the world than you are. And so it just brings a light to your eyes and makes you think about things like that. So please go salute my brother, support him at, again, David's ALS Journey. You can see I'm wearing the hat he sent me, Mission de Bois. If you want to donate to Walk for ALS campaign for David, you can search again David Dubois, or find him at Mission de Bois. You see there on the hat. And go ahead and support, donate, and do all that you do. So again, ALS Awareness Day, Lou Gehrig Day today. We salute everybody, and prayers for everyone who is dealing with that horrible disease, or any disease, cancer or anything. We still pray for y'all as well. But definitely today, thinking about those and praying for those with ALS. Love you, David. All right. And you'll see, I was trying to go too fast earlier today, and you'll see it says "Happy Birthday, Boozer" there, but you have a picture of Obama and giving a Nobel Prize. I don't even remember. Oh, that was the retirement of Greg Popovich, and the I don't forget. I don't even remember what the Obama story was. Anyways, I was using that as a template, and then I was going to add the pictures of Boozer here. Oh well, I guess I forgot that before I downloaded. A lot going on today with the testing. Anyways, happy birthday to Boozer. His birthday was yesterday. My son, I miss you and I love you. The greatest dog ever, English Bulldog. Not usually supposed to last over 10 years. He lived a great 13 years. And while I am sad every day that I lost him, and the way that it happened, or the way that it ended, I love my pup every day, and I miss him. And hey, it's always good to have a friend, and he was the best of. So happy birthday to him yesterday, Boozer. We miss you and we love you. All right. Cool. Amul tapping in. Show got a new look. Yeah. So we're just testing some stuff out, trying a new system, seeing if we want to move away from StreamYard. This is Restream we're trying today. Looks pretty good. Working well so far. So we'll see what happens, but don't expect the look to last that long. This is just for today. Obviously, if I decide to go with them, I would upgrade, so I'd be able to bring in all the branding and the actual pictures and the overlays and the music. I don't have any of that today, so you're just getting straight up Omar. Yes, David is a great inspiration. Everybody, again, David's ALS Journey. Google that. Subscribe to his ALS blog. It is truly an inspirational blog. And yes, Boozer was the greatest dog ever. Love my buddy, and we miss him. But yes, definitely the greatest dog ever. I'm going to test something real quick. Let's see how this works with a little bit of music. Because see, I don't like when I just talk by myself, no music underneath, because I feel like the dead silence pauses, which I take a lot of them at times because I like to pause when I'm talking and think a little bit. To me, it's like the dead. I don't know. The dead sound seems a little too much. So I like to have a little bit of music underlying when I'm talking. What I don't like about this here, though, is the music. They don't give you a large enough thing to be able to, like a bar, to see what volume your music's at. It's just a very short bar. So Restream, if I had to suggest something, make that volume bar a little larger so I can actually give a good volume to my people that are watching. So if you hear that music, is it too loud behind me? I just want to have something that complements my talking. So let me know. Let me know if you hear that. Oh, salute to my brother Skywalker. Boxing media coming in perfect time though, because that reminds me, y'all should be checking out Country Box. I will be there tomorrow night. Promoter Jimmy Adams, salute his lovely wife, um, the whole crew there. Ashley, Hermes, the Warrior Kid, Maidel Sando. Tomorrow's gonna be great. Oliver McCall will be fighting, and yes, I'm Oliver's personal social media interviewer, so I'll have that interview with him as well. Another champion, world heavyweight champion, Shannon Briggs will be there tomorrow, so I'm gonna get that exclusive with Shannon Briggs as well. Can't wait to meet him, and a lot of other good fights tomorrow that I'm definitely going to be getting some good interviews. I'm actually get there early, so that way I could be there the whole night. But yes, salute Country Box, y'all. They're doing the weigh-in right now. If you want to check them out, so you can check out the weigh-in that they're doing now. I will not be offended, but it's better if you just let me tell you and let you see that social media tomorrow after I go. I'll be doing some filming and getting all those good interviews. Producer says no music. I don't know how I feel about that, producer, because I really don't like hearing the silence when I pause. You see what I'm saying? So if there was no music there, you would just hear. So I don't like that. It's not good for me. Now, maybe for you all, it may be annoying a little bit. So maybe I have to turn it off. But for me personally, I don't like to hear that silence. I want to hear something in the background. But anyways, okay, you're the producer. I'll turn it off. Anyways, Skywalker, yes, y'all make sure you tap in with Skywalker Boxing Media. All awesome boxing interviews. He's the networking champion when it comes to boxing. He be getting interviews with everyone. I'm gonna start leaning into his connects to get me some of these interviews with some of these locals from either here or back in the DMV where I'm from. Get them on here with Clubber D and I. But anyways, yes, y'all tap in with Skywalker Boxing Media, Skywalker Boxeo on Facebook as well. Make sure you tap in with 86 Boxing on YouTube and Papi Chun Yayo. They're both on on YouTube as well. Cool. Let's go, champ. Let's go, champ. I love Shannon Briggs, yo. I watched all the videos this weekend. I was dying. He just, let's go, champ. All right. He get me hyped up. Anyways, so yeah, here we go. Now we'll finally get into the news of the day. A lot of news, actually. And this is actually, I know that we just had some laughs there talking about Shannon Briggs and what a good dude he is and meeting him tomorrow. But I'm going to bring it down a second. Got to be a little bit more of a conscious frame of mind here as we start with our actual news story. So, emergency news story. I wasn't even able to get it on the actual news slides to present to you. So, you're not going to actually see any slides on this. But last night, yesterday, horrible, what has been classified so far as a terrorist attack, an anti-Israel terrorist or attack, or an anti-Zionist, anti-Jewish terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado, has left multiple people injured. The attack unfolded when Mohammed Sabri Soliman threw Molotov cocktails, plural, during a peaceful rally supporting Israeli hostages. The Egyptian national, who overstayed his visa after arriving in 2022, was heard shouting slogans such as "Free Palestine." This event he was at, or the event that he attacked people at, rather, was an event called Run for Their Lives, where people were, it's obviously one of those 4Ks, whatever, I don't know what the K was, but in support of Israel. This is obviously the 8 people injured. We're praying for them. Hopefully they are able to get over their injuries. Luckily, and thank God, no one died. But fact of the matter is that things like that have been increasingly happening lately. Just last week, we talked about the terror attack I take that back. Let me backtrack that. The possible terror attack where 2 Washington, D.C. Israeli embassy aides were murdered or killed, outside of the embassy there in Washington, D.C. So obviously these attacks have continued to ramp up and over not only the Jewish population, but as we know, during COVID, the Asian population was targeted. Obviously, the blacks and forever, and the Spanish people since they started to come in and immigrate. All of the different ethnic groups have been targeted over time as we moved on. But now, with the Israeli Hamas war over the Gaza Strip, a lot of Jewish hate is happening within this country. And again, as I talked about last week, there should be no hate whatsoever. I'm not going to act like I'm naive and we live in a utopia. I realize that that some of these countries, some of these religions, some of these not factions, ethnicities, some of these whatever, even genders, have been fighting for hundreds of thousands of years, whatever. Got it. I understand. But those people who technically overstayed his visa, you know how much we talk about immigration on this program. I don't think that it should be a broad swath. I think we should be taking more of a scalpel to the immigration instead of mass deportations. But I do agree that we need to be getting rid of all criminals. And this gentleman, let me take that back. This asshole, I apologize. I didn't even mean to call him a gentleman. He doesn't even deserve that respect. Is obviously one of them that needs to be deported immediately. So he will be facing terrorism charges and life in prison charges when this comes up. Again, prayers up for those that are injured. Hopefully they come back full health. I don't think there is anyone anymore, at least that's what I heard today. I don't believe there's anyone. You know what? I don't want to say that because I don't know completely. And, I like to be as factual as possible on this program. Is this a shout out? D. Cleasy. Yes, it is. Actually, I've used it before on the streams. I used it last week on the stream, although that was more computer issues, not the camera. And I used it before I went back home for my birthday and your brother's birthday. So I have used it a few times before. But no, while I was back in Virginia, while I was traveling for that month, and whenever I could get on, I was using just the webcam because I didn't want to bring the brand new camera with me. But yes, technically, it's only been used a few times. It is a brand new camera. And shout out to your boy, Francis Long. Woo! I wish I had my Ric Flair. Music or, ad lib. Francis Long is the man, one of my best friends in the whole world. He bought me this camera, sent it to me. He also bought me the Yeti microphone that I'm on. So shout out. Okay, that was truly hilarious. Hilarious. That was great. So yes, D, I went to pause. I went to go show you the microphone. It's a blue Yeti. Just know that it's brand new. Anyways, Francis, such a nice guy, bought me the camera and the microphone and sent them to me through Amazon because he was pissed off at my quality of cameras, and he decided that he had enough of it and wanted to get me his own. But I do want to say it was never for a lack of trying. I bought 5 different microphones before then and like 3 different cameras, including a Logitech Brio at one point that just ended up getting scratched. And that's what happened there. But yeah, anyways, yeah, Yeti, you disappeared. That's tremendous. That is fantastic. Yeah, Yeti, I disappeared. Yet I disappeared. You are correct about yet I disappeared. I see what you did there. Nice pun. Yes, I did. I was trying to show the microphone, and when I did that, I pulled everything out because the microphone, the Ethernet, which thank God we got Wi-Fi. The Ethernet, the camera, and the microphone are all plugged into the. It's an extension that plugs into the computer. to make sure I can have more USB ports. Anyways, that got pulled out when I did that. So thank you. And yes, shout out to Francis Long. We love you. Thank you for the new camera and the new microphone. All right, cool. Oh, man, that was wild. Anyways, moving on to the next subject, next story on our United States news. You will know last week we talked about the big, beautiful bill that Donald Trump tried to advance, big and beautiful, depending on which side of the aisle you are, whether you're a lib or a con. It all depends. But what is happening is the debt is going to go up. We talked about this last week with Amul Madan. Thank you, Amul, for coming in, our guest last week, to talk about that. It is now gone to the Senate. They are mulling it over. They hope to have a vote before July 4th, Independence Day. A reason for that is because after that date, there's a certain cutoff date where the taxes and stuff wouldn't apply for the year, or deductions, things like that. So that's why they're trying to get it passed before then. There's 6 Republicans right now on the fence. Josh Hawley being probably the most prominent. Lisa Murkowski's another one. Some others there that may fight this bill. They're the ones on the opposite side of it. But with a full Senate of Republicans, they should pass the bill, as they did pretty easily. Not easily through the House. It was only passed by 1 vote. But that's because the House has a more narrow difference between Republicans and Democrats than the Senate does. Whatever it is, it's going to happen, and they're going to have the bill most likely going to be voted on. This will, again, cut Medicaid in some areas. There will be work requirements put on Medicaid, and as well SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps. These will all start to have a work requirement, either working a 40-hour-a-week job or doing some sort of community activities. This will also increase deductions for taxpayers, which is mostly, if you're looking at the SALT deductions, that's mostly going to help the more wealthy of people. And so when you all have heard about the Trump tax cuts from 2017 and how you heard about them being a tax cut for the most wealthy and everything like that, it is true that they were going to be obviously giving the most back to the most wealthy. Now, everyone did get at least a little bit of a break, and will continue to if they're expanded. But the break that you are getting watching this show, now, if there's any millionaires or billionaires watching this show, I would truly appreciate if you just reached out to me and we did a partnership, a collab. I'd appreciate maybe a sponsorship of the program. I'll be your Stedman to your Oprah. So, I mean, even guy or girl, pause. I'll be your Stedman if you want to just pay me and give me some money. But anyways, moving on. Selling myself like an escort over here. No pause on that. Anyways, so the problem is that anybody watching this program most likely are not going to be the ones getting the most benefit from those tax cuts. It is going to go mostly to the wealthy, as they obviously get a higher proportion because they have more money, but also the proportions of cuts between brackets of income are not as substantially different as they should be. If you're asking me, man, I'm not the president, but if I were, the rich people, guarantee you, would pay the most and buy more than a lot than anybody else. And I want to be rich. I would still think as a rich person, and I will be rich soon enough. And when I get there, I still think even when I'm there, I should have to give back, because you made your wealth most likely off of the American population. It only behooves you to have to be taxed to pay back to the government in order to give back to the population. Now, whether you want to talk about the government properly giving back to the population is a whole nother conundrum, is a whole nother mess of things that we don't necessarily need to go into right now, because you may not get an argument from me on that. Either way, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated on that and see if they actually pass that bill. But what will happen is this is going to raise the deficit to an estimated $4.2 trillion. So when you hear the Republicans and the Trump administration claim how, they're going to be able to bring down the deficit and things like that, if this bill is passed, they definitely will not be able to bring down the deficit, no matter how much Doge has saved, which, by the way, Doge, who originally wanted $1 trillion, then moved it down to $750 billion, only ended up with 125, 150, I think $150 billion saved. So not as great as they were hoping, and not going to put a dent on anything when you're adding $2 trillion since 2023. So also when you juxtapose that, the Republicans talk a lot about former President Joe Biden and how he added to the deficit, but this would add more than, and you know that because we gave you the quote from Rand Paul, Kentucky senator, Republican senator last week, who said that this would be an even more raise than the Biden raises on the deficit. So y'all, if we're really hearing the administration talking about wanting to bring deficits down and doing all these things to bring taxes down and stuff like that, that can't be done when you're raising our deficit by this much money. All right. Cool. Moving on. One thing I did like, and I mentioned this last week, but I just had to say it again because I really did like this part of it. And, you know, you don't, not very often that you get to see those people on the right and left sides of the aisle get together on something and agree. And boy, oh boy, did they when it came to the no tax on tips. Where's my cheer here? Do I get some of that? 100-0, this was voted. It passed with no opposition, and I agree completely. As a person who was a server bartender, D. Cleasy would know he's a bartender server in the past as well. We work for tips. Most of the bartender servers in most of the states, there's 7 states in the United States that they don't get paid minimum wage. And no, I'm not going to list them all off. I believe it. I don't know them all, but I believe it's California, Texas, Kentucky. Anyways, regardless, there are only a few states where people don't work for minimum wage, but most servers, bartenders work for 213, 213, which is sub minimum wage, not even minimum wage. Bartender servers usually work for 213 an hour, and what happens is that is supplemented if they don't reach that amount of what they would have made in the amount of hours they work. So you take the 213, you times that by the amount of hours that they worked. If they don't reach that amount, then the business supplements the rest of that income to make up for it. If they do get over that amount, well, that's all you get is just your tips. That's why it's so important for servers and bartenders to be able to, at least if they don't get minimum wage, be able to have no taxes on tips. I will say this as a former bartender server, and I'm giving away some of the house secrets right now, but a lot of server bartenders, I am not included in this. I would never do something like this. Don't claim taxes on, you know what? Keep that moving. I decided that was not good to put out my people out there like that. I don't even want to do that. But anyways, one thing that may have an impact here, though, is that, yes, having no tax on tips would provide a big savings, especially for those people that work for tips. But also, the critics say it would hamper the fight for minimum wage, which I agree. Looking at it logically, if we're giving you no tax on tips, then they can turn around and say, oh, well, why should we give you minimum wage? I think it should be both. It definitely should be both. But again, I'm not the president, so I don't know what to tell you there. Anyways, thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Skywalker. My brother. Nice equipment, he says. All right. Also, in the world of President Trump, he did speak yesterday, or Friday, excuse me, at a U.S. steel plant in West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, which, by the way, just cracks me up every time I hear West Mifflin, because I hear of Dunder Mifflin from The Office, and it just makes me laugh. Even though I wasn't like the biggest Office fan, do I enjoy The Office if I see like a rerun come on or something like that? Yeah, sure. And it was a decently funny show. But I definitely am not like like an Office fanatic, and I definitely I wasn't one of those people that watched it all the time, even when it was live, or not live, but you know what I mean, on during non-rerun time. I mean, it was, like I said, it's okay. It's decently funny, but it's not something like I was going to dedicate myself to. So while I enjoyed it, it's not, anyways, I don't know how I got off on that tangent there. But at the West, oh, that's right, West Mifflin, Pennsylvania. He announced. Since I don't have any sound bites on my thing, you get the soundboard today. Anyways, he said that he is going to um, double the current tariff rate on imported steel and aluminum from 25% to 50% on Wednesday. Now, when I first saw this, I will not lie to you. With all the changes, I never lie to you, but with all the changes and the instituting and then pulling back of tariffs that President Donald Trump has done thus far, when I saw that headline, or when I saw it on the news, I was like, okay, but what does that really mean? Is it really going to happen? Is it really going to stay in place? So I brushed it off. I was like, okay, whatever. Just tell me when it actually happens, because all we know, tomorrow he could be like, oh, well, no, I decided steel and aluminum came and talked to me in my dreams and told me we shouldn't do this. So, anything can change. So I kind of like brushed it off. But then I saw a quote from someone, and this is what I've been trying to tell you on this program, that President Donald Trump has been instituting in his second term, not only with the tariffs, but with deportation and anything else that he has tried to institute. He is instituting these things in order to get his base to rally behind him, in order to rally support from the Republican conservative side of the aisle. And then after gaining that support, and we saw that when the terrorists, doused the global economy for a few days after he first announced it. But anyways, the point here is that he is instituting these things to get this rise in confidence from his people, but then he backtracks on pretty much everything he's instituted so far. Maybe aside from some of the deportation things, but a lot of things he's backed off on, especially tariffs. So then he backs off on it. And by that time, his people, his base are already supporting it, and they're not going to back off now because they've already got it in their mind that this is a great thing that he's done. The other side, the libs, the Democrats, the left side of the aisle, by that time, there's no fight that they can really put up because it's already passed and been in, and again, the Trump supporters aren't going to change their minds. So it's kind of like fighting an uphill battle at that point. And he's just continually doing this over and over and over, but no one's actually speaking truth to power. No one's actually saying this out loud. No one's actually saying, hey, he's saying these things, but these things aren't actually happening. And it seems he's doing this more to bolster or even bluster his presidential campaign or legacy or what have you, even though he's only at about 50% approval right now. You just got to think about how much can we actually support until these things start going through? Because in the past month, he brought in Canada, he brought in the UK, and they were said to have signed these deals with zero tariffs for the UK. Canada would have 25%, this and that, all these different things. And now that's changed again. That's now gone from one non-installation to an installation, especially if you remember Canada and Mexico at the beginning, to then taking it away, to then bringing it back again. That's 4 different changes in tariffs for Canada alone since it's been 6 months, 8 months. That's not supposed to happen. Let's be honest. That should not happen, at least. But that's the way that President Donald Trump has always operated. We've talked about that on this program. He is a salesman. He is always going to, at the least, exaggerate, but more than often not, at least 75 to 90% of the time that he's talking about his accomplishments or facts, they're usually very exaggerated to outright lies. But these are just exaggerations of things that aren't or have not happened. And just as actually, you know what? Let me just let Goldie Heyer of the Business Council of Canada, who said that you shouldn't take the bait on these sorts of things that President Donald Trump does, because it's just a strategy to try to gain support from the base while then moving the goalpost in order to extend out that support. And that's exactly what it is. And that's what I've been trying to say for the longest time here. So we'll see how that actually goes, if he actually keeps any of these tariffs in place. But as of now, we see just a lot of fluctuating. Um, Shout out to Bruce Moore tuning in, my brother. How you doing today, my friend? It was good to see you there with your brother at the beer fest. That was a great time, my friend. Con man, he says, but salesman is close enough. Hey, a lot of people definitely use that word for him. I will say that the amount of lies that are told in order to garner the support are pretty astounding. Some of the policies put in place, especially the broad swaths of mass deportation, of the Doge cuts, especially when it came to people losing their jobs, things like these that he just doesn't care about, that he just rather have the implicated biggest impact, that he can. Oh, I've got the biggest crowds, I've got the biggest rallies, I've got the biggest bills, I've got this, that, the bluster, right? The extreme exaggeration sort of thing. And yes, also could be construed as not just a salesman, but a con man. Again, depending on what side of the aisle you're looking at this on. Obviously, if you're on the right side, a conservative, a con, a Republican, maybe not. But if you're a lib, probably so. Hey, we keep it neutral on this program. As y'all know, I do not care about either party. I think they're all scum, as Francis Long would say. Every politician is a liar, cheat, and scum. Woo! So shout out to that. It is the truth. But we just give you the neutral information on this show so you know what's going on in our country. The Supreme Court just handed President Trump a major win for progressing his deportation agenda. In a 7-2 order, the court cleared the Trump administration to resume deportations. Listen to this, y'all, of over 500,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. So last week we talked about the Venezuelan Supreme Court judiciary action, which allowed for deportation. Now this week they've extended it to Cubans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans. Look, if they're criminals, gang members, other things, fine. Again, I agree. Get them out of the country. But again, this is going to start to get to the point, and I mentioned this last week when we talked about no tax on tips. This is going to, and the supposed ICE raids on Broadway here in Nashville. When it gets to that point, a lot of the immigrants and people that the right side of the aisle, the conservatives, want deported are the people that do a lot of jobs that are not going to be able to be done or want to be done by Americans, including field work, construction, maid, cleaning, even cooks. I guarantee you most of the cooks in the restaurants around you are probably Spanish. I know most of them are here in Nashville, and I'm in one of the whitest states in the country. Anyways, so we gotta, because there's, you know what? I'm not even going to bring it up. It doesn't even matter. You're going to believe what you want to believe. We'll see what happens. They were here under temporary protected status under President Biden's humanitarian parole program, which allowed people to come and live and work in the U.S. for 2 years, escaping, obviously, war and other things in their country that are happening. The unsigned order from the court halts a lower court injunction that had blocked Trump's move to end the program. The status was set to expire in 2026, but President Trump fast-tracked the revocation with an order to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. This order follows the court's decision allowing Trump to strip protections from 350,000 Venezuelan migrants, as I just mentioned from last week. This now terminates the program termination in April, was blocked by a judge. This now unblocks everything for Trump to go ahead and move forward. This decision does impact migrants who entered legally through parole, passed security check, and had American sponsors. So that's why I mentioned earlier, y'all, Now we're starting to get into a little gray area where people legally came into this country with American sponsors passing security checks and this, and then they could even be deported. And don't put it past actual citizens, American citizens, being deported. My mom was telling me, watch out. And I was like, Mom, I am an Air Force veteran. They're not going to deport me. And she was like, you never know. And I thought about it. I was like, damn, you never know. They could try to deport my ass. Now, I would hope that before we got that far, they would realize that I gave 8 years of honorable service to this country, and would not send me to El Salvador or the likes. But you never know. I don't know. I look like I could be from there. So it's possible they could mistake me for that. Very much so. And you got to hear this. What about this? Border czar Tom Homan, when I saw this, I was like, what? He warned that arrests and deportations will rise. I was like, damn, I thought we was already doing a lot now. No, they're going up more. And they've been going on a lot. I saw a Reddit thread yesterday that was warning people in Hendersonville, which is about 20 minutes northeast of Nashville, was warning residents that ICE was going around and arresting people, telling people to stay inside and things like that. So it's getting crazy out there, y'all. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they deporting everybody out here. Shout out to what was his name? Antoine something. Hide your kids, hide your wife, because they deporting everybody out here. All right. Oh, that's good stuff right there. Anyways, okay, some news from last week that I was unable to give you because we had that great interview with the Madan when he came in. But some news from last week: the FDA, Food Drug Administration, is removing kids' prescription products containing fluoride. So if you know, RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is our Health and Human Services Secretary, has been trying to remove FDA from the water and other things like that. Well, now they are definitely taking it out of kids' prescription products, anything containing concentrated ingestible fluoride prescription products for children, due to concerns over unapproved status and potential impact on developing gut microbiome. Fluoride is a mineral that was added to water and dental products to prevent tooth decay in 1945. It was added to the U.S. water supplies. FDA, though, studies suggest the association between fluoride could be worse than what we need now when we have more advanced dental care, more advanced things with toothbrushing and toothpaste and mouthwash and so on and so forth than they had 80 years ago. The FDA suggests some studies show that there could be a link between fluoride and thyroid disorders, weight gain, and possibly decreased IQ. So they're definitely taking it away from anything children and possibly looking into the water. Primarily, this will affect fluoride drops and tablets, but there is also a focus on sugar reduction and dental hygiene instead of altering microbiomes. Utah was the first state to implement a statewide fluoride ban. The removal process will obviously take time, as there is a public comment period, which means that the public, the community, can respond to the orders with comments saying whether they agree or disagree, so on and so forth. To the federal law for any major rule changes, this runs until October 31st, Halloween of this year. More U.S. news. There was a New Orleans jailbreak that we talked about briefly last week. A bunch of inmates got together and escaped from 10 to be exact inmates escaped from the jail cell with help of a jail maintenance worker, escaping behind through a hole behind the toilet that led them, out through the ducts and air ducts and things like that, out fleeing on foot, down Interstate 10. So as of now, 2 inmates are still on the loom, on the lam, as they say. But there's still 2 out there that have yet to be arrested. And I was going to come on with the, if you've ever seen the movie The Warriors, and I'll probably do this um, maybe next week, but you know how they have the lady on the radio, and she's like, well, putting the hit on the Warriors. It's like, no matter where you see them, you better get it. So anyways, I was thinking about doing that, but I decided not to. Moving on, we'll keep you updated on that next week. Finally, some good news in the United States. Well, in this segment of the United States news, I don't mean in general. The Trump administration has secured the release of U.S. Air Force veteran from detention in Venezuela. His father said he traveled there to get treatment for PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, was detained there, and now has been brought home. So, hey, if the Trump administration does something good, I'm always going to call it right down the middle, like baseball umpires should. And this is a salute to the Trump administration for securing the release of this U.S. Air Force veteran. All right, world news. To start off, I'm going to talk about how Donald Trump, and he's not world news, but the reason I'm going to keep talking about President Trump is because he unveiled his Golden Dome missile defense system plans for last week to be America's new shield to protect against incoming missiles. Now, why do I bring that up again after I brought it up last week? Well, there's two reasons I bring this up. A, do I believe we should have a Golden Dome? Yes, I do. We are moving into a new age where nuclear war is at the precipice. What a fantastic word for a Puerto Rican on a live TV show. Yes, we've had nuclear weapons around forever, but now more than ever, countries have their finger on the trigger, and we need to be able to protect ourselves from that. Not that we do not have a good intercontinental ballistic missile system that intercepts missiles already. We do. One of the best in the world. I can tell you from experience, knowing that we have one of the best of those in the world. But this will give us close to, as he said, which is, I guess, one thing he wasn't exaggerating about, 100%. You combine this dome with our already previous missile defense systems, and we are going to be, when it comes to defending against missiles, which we need, because to let you know on that little information I told you about earlier that I said you would not know, we have received a little bit of intel. Now, it is unclassified intel now, so I can tell you this, but obviously at one point in time it was classified. The U.S. has received intel that Israel is preparing to strike Iranian nuclear sites as soon as, who the hell knows, but very, very soon. There was not actually a date on it, but this is an imminent threat, as we would call it in the military. So if Iran does not come to an agreement with the United States, which I'm about to get into in a second, Israel is planning on using nuclear weapons. That's crazy. That's wild. We need to protect ourselves. Wow. Moving on, Iran's nuclear program. The Trump administration confirmed yesterday it sent Iran that nuclear deal proposal. Details not disclosed. That does come after a United Nations watchdog report that was leaked over the weekend that found Iran had conducted secret uranium enrichment activities in 3 previously undisclosed facilities. The report also found Iran possesses 400 kilograms of uranium at 60% purity, significantly above levels for civilian purposes and enough to create 10 nuclear weapons if, and this is the one thing about nuclear weapons, if you did not know, must be enriched to 90% purity in order to actually perform as a nuclear weapon is supposed to perform. But that step to go from 60% to 90% takes less than 2 weeks estimated. So then obviously they would need to build the bomb as well after that. So it would take months to build the bomb. So you're looking at a few months after getting to 90% purity that they would be able to have actual deployable nuclear weapons, but just the fact that it can take them 2 weeks to get to that 90% and then only need 2 or 3 months in order to be able to bomb someone with a nuclear weapon is not very good in terms of world security and global peace and security. So just wanted to update you with that, but that is crazy. We definitely need to protect ourselves. I think a Golden Dome is an excellent idea. Another salute to President Donald Trump's administration there. We don't usually do that too many times in the program, but you got 2 of them there. All right. Iran's program has slowed since restarting negotiations with the U.S. in April. Iran's stockpile has amassed the equivalent of 1 nuclear weapon per month for the past 3 months. The U.S., United Kingdom, France, and Germany are expected to refer the IAEA report to the United Nations Security Council. Israel has threatened to strike Iran's nuclear facilities if U.S. talks fail. As I mentioned, Iran, again, not far away from having 90% purity, only less than 2 weeks if they want to. So we really got to hope and pray that this agreement is agreed to between the United States and Iran that will halt their uranium enrichment in exchange for regional cooperation, safety, and peace. Iran, though, as we know, has always looked to strengthen their positions in these sort of negotiations, usually not willing to give up their nuclear abilities. So, as always, we will keep you updated on that there. But yeah, it's very important to take in, right? Because when you look at this, and Trump has threatened, as you see in the slides, military action. But as you can see, there are so a lot of things that go into play here when you're looking at, can a deal actually get done, and will Iran actually accept that deal? All right, moving on into the Ukraine and Russia war. Give you an update on that. So the Ukraine and Russia war. Ukraine this weekend carried out what could be, y'all, this is crazy, carried out what could be akin to Pearl Harbor, and I am not being facetious, in a surprise attack, like the Japanese surprised us. Though that back in, what was that, 1947? I should know that more considering I was stationed next to Pearl Harbor for 3 years. But anyways, Ukraine forces executed a covert strike, which, get this, destroyed 41 Russian bombers at airfields up to 2,500 miles from Ukraine. It took 18 months to plan. Russia had no clue. This bold attack demonstrates Ukraine's expanding capability to hit strategic targets from far away places, and a major escalation in the war. We know, we talked to you a few weeks ago about Russia-Ukraine treaty talks, but then Russia attacked Ukraine right after that. This is Ukraine's attack back, except this was expertly done. As a former veteran, expertly done attack, kept it covert, under the radar, didn't know about it, and completely took out 41 of their bombers, a bunch of their airfields, took out a bunch of soldiers. Now, we don't have a casualty count, so I don't actually know. I can't tell you that, but I assume there were soldiers in those areas, Russian soldiers. What a crazy attack by Ukraine to take back, at least some motivation, some momentum in their side of the war, which we know here, right? We're not going to lie to anyone here. Russia started this war. This is Russia's fault if that's what happened to them because Ukraine fought back. Well, some people would say that's the FAFO kind of business. I may or may not agree. But what I do know is that Ukraine really, really got them in a bind on this one, because also this was after the face-to-face talks where they said that they weren't going to bomb each other, and they've just proven, now again, Ukraine was responding, but they've proven that these ceasefire talks between any of these countries that we talk about on this program are more likely than not going to probably not actually come to fruition. President Donald Trump expressed deep happiness at Russia last weekend when they bombed Ukraine. We'll see what he says about Zelensky here in the coming week, but I would assume he's going to say something uh, negative about that, even though they were just protecting themselves and in response to Russians' barrage of 367 drones and missiles that happened last weekend in their capital city of Kiev, killing at least 12 and injuring dozens more. So, again, we will keep you updated on that news. But yes, just know that the ceasefire is up in pretty much every single war that we have talked about. All of these different places: Israel, Hamas, Iran, Ukraine, Russia war. All of these ceasefires are completely over, and we are back to full throttle attacks on different countries within the world. Again, we need to figure out a way to end these wars because, again, y'all, as I continue to say to you on this program, the United States, we get all the shit that rolls uphill from the rest of the world, not to, not for a lack of a double negative there, not including, or also including global wars. Those affect the United States. You see, we have to supply money and weapons to Ukraine in order to defend them, which we would have to do for Taiwan versus China, which we have to do for Israel versus Hamas. That's affecting us. But then, as President Donald Trump tries to play the fence with the communist side of things as well, talking to those dictators, trying to get them to come down, then you're also having to give things up to those. And it's just, we don't need to be involved that much anyways. I've always said that we need to back more out of necessarily people's business. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to be the world power. We always have to be the world power to secure our safety. We always have to be the foremost global power, but that doesn't mean we have to be everywhere, anywhere, all at the same time. Cool. All right, one last note. The United Kingdom and European Union announced a trade and security deal last weekend. We didn't get to talk about this last week, marking a reset in relations. You'll remember the United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union and become their own country, basically their own country anyways, but they were a part of the 27-member bloc. Then they left that. Now they've come back to at least work out deals in terms of security, trade, weapons, other things of the sort. So sort of becoming like a Canada to United States, more of a sort of a partnership or lack thereof, as we know since Donald Trump has come in office. But more along those lines is what the United Kingdom and EU is doing. The European Union does remain UK's largest trading partner. That's obviously after the United States and after India. India is the second largest trading partner for EU. But United Kingdom exports to the EU have fallen 21% since Brexit. The agreement is projected to add nearly $12 billion to the United Kingdom's economy by 2040. It includes reduced border checks on food and agricultural products, expanded e-gate access for British travelers at EU airports, a 12-year extension of the European Union's fishing rights in United Kingdom's waters, and finally, United Kingdom participation in a $170 billion European Union Defense Procurement Initiative. All right, so that's the update there on that one. As I forgot to give you the slide on I have my slides in order. I don't know how they got out of order there, but that's okay. That's okay. It was a really no. What? No, that's not what I said to do. Okay, I get it. Okay, remove. It was a really good show today. Restream ran good. It did. Now, there are some things I'm really used to on StreamYard, which I'm going to have to work with here if I decide to go with Restream. The chat is a little harder to deal with that first, but I do like more than StreamYard how the chat can stay right there so you don't have to keep going back and forth like you do on StreamYard. Now, it's less layouts. Only 6 layouts versus then again, the StreamYard I was on when I was with the Bottom Line Sports had more options because we paid for more because we have 4 of us. This obviously has, but this is good. 6 layouts for the free version. They have scenes, really like that there. So we'll see. Good first one with Restream. Again, I'm going to convey with Clubber D, see how he likes Riverside. Don't forget UFC 316 Cover to the Combat G, yours truly, Sports Professor. We'll be on 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, so look out for that. As well, find me tomorrow at Country Box. I don't know if Skywalker is going to be covering that, but if he is, I will be there. Jimmy Adams, promoter, lovely wife, actually, great group of guys, boxers, the crew, JT, the announcer, everybody's just good there. I can't wait to get back. It's been too long. I haven't been there since last year because remember, I've been traveling so much. I was 2 months back in DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I came back for a couple months, but Country Box, I wasn't able to go to a couple of them, so I had to do the stream with Skywalker. Again, shout out Skywalker 86 and Papi Chuneo. We did the streams, and then the last one was canceled. So it has actually been 1, 2, 3, 4. It has been 4 months. I went to the one when I got back in like February and March. So, but I missed all of May, all of April, and I think all of March. So it's been like 3 months since I've been able to attend Country Box. So I'm super excited for that. Check me out there tomorrow. I'm going to go live from there for a little bit as well. And then Wednesday, the professor's Semanalmente. Damn, I can't believe I had that on the whole time because I can't even hear it. Can I? No. Anyways, hope that didn't happen the whole time. I really apologize if it did, if you heard an echo. But anyways, Semanalmente Sports Edition Wednesday. I'll be talking NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. We'll talk the finals. You'll get my prediction. We'll do a whole breakdown. We'll also give you the MLB because now that I'm having a sports only edition weekly, I'm going to be able to devote more time to the sports and more time to the news and still keep it around an hour so my producer is not upset. How we feeling today, producer? 1 hour, 7 minutes. I think we did all right. I love you and thank you for your help. I love you all. Thank you all for your help. Thank you for tuning in. I am Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Please make sure you subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. Please make sure you subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram. That being said, thank you very much. What is happening right now? That being said, thank you very much for tuning in today. We really appreciate everybody tuning in today. Make sure you hit us, catch us at Country Box tomorrow, and then more importantly, on Wednesday, Professor Semanalmente Sports, and then Saturday for Kabaddi, the Combat G's, Combat Sports, UFC 316. That being said, I hope you all have an amazing Tuesday. Again, I'll see you tomorrow night live streaming from Country Box and again on Wednesday, but I hope you all have an amazing Tuesday.